So, big game tonight in Denver. Game 5 of the Western Conference First Round Series between the Los Angeles Lakers and the Denver Nuggets. And as we head into tonight's action, we got LeBron James, the chance to make history once more. Can he come back down from 3-1 to win the series and to upset the NBA defending champions, Denver Nuggets? Haven't we been here before? Are we surprised that LeBron James in year 21, at the age of 39 years old, has the opportunity to recreate history and to make, to upset, to be the underdog once again and to go down in history, against the Denver Nuggets? Can he do it again? Can he, Anthony Davis, D'Angelo Russell, Austin Rivers, and co, recreate history? It's going to be tough, but I definitely think he can do it. It's going to take a lot. It did look like LeBron James was going to get swept, the way this series is going and the 11 straight losses and the hiccups and all the, mishaps that had taken place, in the last 11 games they played. And the shocking thing is, LeBron James played in 10 of the 11 games, and he had never had a losing streak this long. And it looked like, he was getting outsmarted, he was getting out, even at times out physicaled by the likes of Aaron Gordon and KCP running the floor, who would be gassed at the end of the fourth quarters. But, in game 4, they managed to, to muster up the courage to be prideful and just not get swept, But it did look like at the end of that game, in the fourth quarter, that the Denver Nuggets did seem to, take their foot off the gas and accept this one, like that they're up 3-1. So yeah. But yeah, I wanted to talk about the dynamics of the series and how it's going and how it's gone so far. But yeah, point number 1 is, one thing I noticed was that LeBron James almost like he had to realize, that he's playing, across the floor from him, across the court is another guy, Nikola Jokic, another guy who's almost just as smart as him, and I think LeBron James took a while to understand that, he tried to, the game plan that I saw from the Lakers was that he tried to play with Aaron Gordon and he tried to, force them into like, taking a page out of the book they did in 2016 with Harrison Barnes, Aaron Gordon, they tried to leave him open, but Aaron Gordon was smart enough and Jokic was smart enough to court map and to understand the spacing and to how to get Aaron Gordon, easy dunks and putbacks and how to position himself into a place where he's setting up his teammates, to counter LeBron James's, gimmick defense that the Lakers were playing. And LeBron James was, I believe, had a big hand in choosing that game plan and going with that decision to leave Aaron Gordon open. And so that's one thing I observed of that. Also, LeBron James had to adjust to he has to play defense, every possession. He cannot take plays off. That's one thing I noticed in game 4. It took him long enough, but he finally accepted in game 4 that he has to be on alert at all times, and he cannot, with Jokic on the floor and Jamal Murray's 2-man game, which I don't think they've gone to enough, by the way, the Denver Nuggets, but we'll speak about that later, or a later date. He had to understand that he has to play every possession. He has to, be active in all plays, all possessions, and he has to, they have to just, play it safe, and you can't gamble, because if you gamble, Jokic right now is the best, at punishing, mishaps or risk taking. Any weak side steals that comes, he knows when the person's coming, and he knows to play the right pass at the right time, he knows how to use the entire shot clock. I think LeBron James had to understand that, and then going forward, if the Lakers are going to win this series, it's going to be on the strength of that. They're making Jokic work on both ends. Like LeBron James specifically is making Nikola Jokic work on both ends. He's also not taking a risk on defense. Trying to turn Jokic into a scorer. And because one thing you notice about the Denver Nuggets is that you think that you have you're slowing Jokic down, but by doubling him or forcing him into passing the ball, but that's exactly what he wants to do. So the correct strategy is for the Lakers, and for LeBron James also to to make sure that he's, making use of Anthony Davis late in games, in the fourth quarter. Make sure that he's not losing his way, and that to make sure to force Jokic into action, force him into pick and roll coverage, make him play defense, force him out of the paint. And so that's another thing that LeBron James has to win this series as the ball handler, as the playmaker, down the stretch of games. D'Angelo Russell and Austin Reeves will be the shot makers, but LeBron James needs to emphasize the playmaking, side of things, and to make sure that late in games he's getting his rest also in the first half, and he's not wearing himself out, and to make sure that going into the fourth quarter and at the end of games, he's ready to go, and he's putting Anthony Davis in the best positions to make sure that he's ready to succeed and he's in the best condition to be the best player he can be also. Because as a big man, you need, what is a big man without a guard, great guard, as we see in history, like, he has to get him the ball, and that's going to force Jokic, to play defense, and that will make him, put some wear on him at the end of games so he doesn't have his legs, going to the fourth quarter. But yeah, that's what I think is going to be the biggest, thing for LeBron. But anyway, moving on to Anthony Davis now. Anthony Marshawn Davis. Anthony Marshawn Davis. Once touted as the best two-way player on the planet, many people have forgotten what he really is capable of playing, and we see that this series, he's been absolutely amazing this series. Absolutely amazing, on both ends of the floor. He's punishing Jokic, making him work on offense, and also defensively, as always, having to cover too much ground. I believe he's the best defender in the NBA. I still believe he's the best defender in the NBA. As he covers, all aspects of defense, and at the rim, he's a perimeter. He's able to switch out on the perimeter. Great rebounder, and he's still to this day, he believes, in his mind, he still believes he's better than Nikola Jokic, and you can see it when he plays him. He goes at him, goes at his neck, and on defense, he's humble enough to understand that the game plan was that he can't really. He's best against Nikola Jokic. He's switching up the schemes. He's not letting him get the same look. Sometimes he's guarding him, sometimes he's not. So he's also understood that, But Jokic is still getting his way. But one thing I like about Anthony Davis is that, the jump shot seems to be kind of there, not fully back to what it was in 2020 or so, but it's kind of there. And so that's allowed him in this series, to kill Jokic off the pick and pop, as a hard roller, as a dive guy also at the same time in the dunker spot. So he's mixed and matched his offense, and he's kept Jokic thinking at all times on defense and offense. So that's one thing about Davis has been great. But at the same time, though, down the stretch of games, we do need to see elevated performance from Anthony Davis late in games. I want to see him be more aggressive, demand the ball if he's hot. If he's going late in games, make sure that he's demanding for the ball and asking for the ball. But moving on to D'Angelo Russell. D'Angelo Russell. In my opinion, this guy, D'Angelo Russell, is the biggest X factor in this series. If he shows up and he plays like he did in the latter half of this season, the Lakers could definitely mount a comeback and win Game 5 and possibly upset the Denver Nuggets. But he's gonna have to be locked in like he was in Game 4, and not like how he was in Game 3 at the end of the bench, sulking. He has to make sure he's mentally prepared to come to this matchup, and he's he's clicking. If D'Angelo Russell has it going, the Lakers have a chance, because the theme of this series has been LeBron James and Anthony Davis have been doing their thing, but they've been getting outscored and outnumbered by the Denver Nuggets starting 5 and starting 4 mainly. Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, and so I think the X factor is D'Angelo Russell. To be honest, I think that the biggest X factors in this series are D'Angelo Russell and Aaron Gordon. Because if those guys come with big production, it tends to, and I'm pretty sure that both teams, when those two play well, their win percentage is much higher. These two, they impact the game so much for each other's teams. I think D'Angelo Russell, when he has his shot making on, and when he's hot and when he's making big time baskets down the stretch, because that's what you need in the playoffs. You need a guard who can make tough shots. You can kind of, and also LeBron James was always thrived with a player like that down the stretch of games. Someone who can give the ball, and that's reliable in the clutch. So That's one thing about D'Angelo Russell. He has to be locked in. He has to be going at Nikola Jokic in the pick and roll because he's a well more than capable playmaker in the pick and roll and the PNR. You know, he's elite pace he plays with, but he just needs to be locked in defensively as also at the same time. And offensively, he has to have it going down the stretch in the fourth quarter. So if the Lakers do win this series, it's going to be D'Angelo Russell, in my opinion, having a hell of a series down the stretch, in cohorts with in cohesion with Austin Reeves. So I think those two are going to be the X factors, but mainly D'Angelo Russell. And so if they're going to do this series, if they're going to win this series, it's going to be on the strength of, you know, the X factor D'Angelo Russell. But let's see what happens, guys. 3-1. We've been here before. Let's see what happens.